Hello, happy Friday. Well, I did manage to get my photos taken for Etsy. They're not on Etsy yet, but I did manage to get the photos taken. And I did manage to get the two shawls blocked with the photos taken. So, first of all, hello. As most of you know, it's me, Jan, short for Janet, and I live in Manchester in the UK. And I've just bought myself a new poster. It's not up on the wall yet because I haven't found a nail or something suitable to tap in the wall yet. But that's just in case you don't know who I am, you see. You know, thought I'll put that behind me. Hope you can still see me. Oh, not a lot really I've got to say to you. My lovely friend Christina came today and she said, oh, I'll wash the dishes for you because I was late getting up and I hadn't even eaten my breakfast. And she not only washed the dishes, she sort of wiped down the whole of the kitchen. Thank you very much, Christina. And then she proceeded to do some ironing. I really have been awful this last few weeks. I mean, the last 2 or 3 weeks, I don't like to say much about ailments or anything on here because it's pretty miserable, isn't it? And everybody's got them. But my back is definitely due for another injection. It's starting to really pain me. And even just doing a wee bit of hoovering. Today while Christina was I was doing a bit of hoovering. It really hurts my back. But the good news is I went to see the nurse who works at the pain clinic and down for another injection in my spine. So I don't know when, don't know anything. But, you know, that hopefully before Christmas I'll have an injection in my spine, so I'll be hunky-dory again. I wish they could stick an injection in my arms because they're really paining me today. It's the weather. If I lived somewhere warm and sunny and happy, then my bones wouldn't hurt so much. If you like my arm warmers, by the way, I bought them. The lady is on eBay, but she's also on Facebook. And it's called Moonbeams and Mayhem. And I don't fit in most of their clothes, which is probably a good thing as far as my bank account is concerned. But I sort of fitted in the arm bands, although they could have done with being a little bit bigger for me because, you know, when my arms swell with the arthritis, they're a little bit tight. But I think they're meant to be mushrooms. Not magic ones, just mushrooms. But either way, they're padded with like a fleece lining. So the minute I put them on, my hands stop hurting, my arms stop hurting. I think it's the warmth as much as anything that keeps them flexible. Plus the fact I did barely any crocheting last night and I haven't done any so far today. And doctors will tell you, you know, if you've got arthritis, don't do this, don't do that. I find the opposite. If I don't keep my fingers supple or, you know, or my arms going, they just sort of seize up on me and go painful. Mum was the same, my mum was the same. You know, the doctor used to keep saying, you'll have to stop knitting, Mrs. Buckley, you'll have to stop your knitting. But she was very, her fingers and hands were terrible, but she was terrible when she first started. You know, you could see the pain in her face when she first started knitting. But gradually, you know, the more she knitted, the more her arms like freed up and the less pain she was in. So sometimes I wonder whether, you know, doctors do tell you the right kind of thing. Yeah, don't know. Anyway, I don't know whether you can see the shawls. They're made with... Oh, I've still got pins in this one from when I was taking photos. Because although it was a nice dry day, it was extremely windy. So every time I put a shawl on my little mannequin here, the wind blew it off. So, oh, I've put them on the floor for a moment. I don't know where my pin box is. Well, I do know where it is, but it's over there. So I don't know whether you can see this one or not. Ooh. Now this one doesn't have any pins on it, it's falling off. So it has been blocked. If you remember my dilemma, I ran short for half a row at the bottom, the last row, half a row. Well, It would have been, yeah, it would have been half a row. It had to be a full row on the other one, I'll explain that in a minute. I ran short for half a row at the bottom here. But in my stash, I happen to have the identical colour. Absolutely identical. As my mum would say, a blind man on a galloping horse will never see that. And I can't see where it is now, even though I did it. I can't see where I changed, you know, the ball of the mandala for a little tiny ball of what I had in my stash. I can't tell. So anyway, this has turned out really beautifully. I love the colours in this one. It's the Lion Brand mandala, which was sent to me by the lovely Grace. I've got two ball bands here. I'm just trying to work out which one is which now. One of them is called Wizard. And Sphinx. Just trying to look at the colours on them. No, I think the one I've just had was Wizard. Or was it Sphinx? Oh, I don't know. It's either Wizard or Sphinx. Those are the labels, perhaps you can tell. I think this one here is the brightly coloured one, and I think that one there is the more blue one. In that case, that would be Sphinx, which is the one I've just shown you. And the next one I'm going to show you in the Lime Mandala will be Wizard. Now this one, I should have finished it off. Oh, come here, Lady Jane. Lady Jane is not being cooperative today. It should have finished off with blue. But I looked through all my stash, looked through everything. I couldn't find anything remotely like the blue. So I'd only done half a row with blue at the bottom. So what I did was I took it back and I matched up the purple, which was the row before it. So I finished off, I had to do a full row in this one because I had to take the half row of blue back. So I did them on an 8mm needle, but I am fairly sort of tight, well not tight, but an average crocheter. I'm not a loose crocheter at all. And so one ball of mandala almost finished it. So there you go. I think that's really pretty. Nice bright shades. Photos are taken. Just me being lazy. I find it so hard to describe my things, you know. If it was somebody else's and I looked at it and thought, oh, that's really pretty, that's really beautiful, I could write a little, you know, synopsis or whatever it is you're supposed to write and say, oh, this wonderful shawl and it's this, that, and that. When I've made it, it's sort of like, don't blow your own trumpet. I can hear my mother saying in my ear, you know. You know, don't get above yourself, don't do this. So I find it difficult to say, this beautiful shawl or this pretty shawl. I suppose I could say this shawl made in very beautiful wool, or it's not wool actually, it's yarn, it's acrylic. Maybe I could say that and then I wouldn't feel so embarrassed about saying this beautiful. Yeah, maybe so, maybe so. Well, what have I been doing? Well, last night I haven't finished it. It's not been blocked because it's raining again. It's got to be blocked and it's got to be fringed. It's, as you can see, it's a bit wavy at the edges. It's made in, it looks like mohair actually, but it isn't. It's got mohair in it. But it's mostly a man-made fibre, but it has got wool and it has got mohair in it. It's black, but it's got sparkles of other colours. I don't know whether you can see or not. It's got white threads in it and little kind of flecks of little other colours in it. So it is nice and soft. I don't think it's itchy like mohair would be. You know, because if I put this anywhere near me, I'm fine with it. But, you know, mohair would drive me insane. It would, honestly. So hopefully I'll show you this again when it's been fringed, finished off and blocked properly. And it would look a bit more like a shawl. So that's what I've been doing. What have I been buying? Well, not much, although I did get into Eve magazine, but I've left it in there. It's the only trouble with this blinky blouse of mine, it will roll up and show the underside of it. Right, I got some little buttons. They've been weeks coming because they were ordered in Hong Kong or wherever, China, things. And they do actually say handmade with love, but they're just a tiny little button. So they're quite pretty. They're, I think they're proper wood. You can never tell these days, can you? These man-made fibres are so clever, aren't they, that they mimic things. They do look like wood, which I would hesitate to say that they were wood. They may not be. I've also got a little bag of, you're going to have to really, really squint your eyes up for this. It's a little hand. And it says handmade. Like a little hand waving. I don't know if you can see it or not. Probably not. It's very tiny. Really, really tiny. But it says handmade on them. But these are useful for sewing on very, very small things, you know, where you wouldn't be able to put a big label on things. And to go with the flag of the United States that Grace has bought for me. What did I say? The flag? The map. The map of the United States that Grace sent to me. I've now got some flags. This is what I was trying to say. So now I can put a flag where people live, yeah? So that when I think, oh, such a body, I'll know where they live, yeah? Because I am woefully inadequate. Geography was just not my thing at school. I was absolutely hopeless. I was okay with the physical geography, you know, where you do the soil levels and the rock levels and things like that. But I was absolutely no good at remembering where towns were, you know, things like that. I was hopeless. I was all right with the grid maps. I was all right with the symbols, you know, that they use on the Ordnance Survey maps. I was fine with those. But I never knew where I was, and I still don't know whether I'm going up Britain or down Britain or sideways. I have no idea. Even with my own country, I have no idea. So when you say, you know, Ohio, Kansas, Vermont and things like that, I don't know where they are as regards. So I'd asked Grace, would she possibly send me a map, yeah? Another lady is sending me a map, which is fine because I'll have two maps, that's great. But I wanted a map, yeah. Another thing that came was, you're not going to be able to see these very well. They're actually round sticky labels, but they've got Urban Gypsy Crochet written on them. They're meant for when I'm sending things in the post and I've wrapped them up in a tissue paper. These are meant to, you know, go on and seal the, you can see it better now, go on and seal the parcel up. I mean, I will use sellotape for the rest of it, but I just thought it might look pretty if I just put a little Urban Gypsy Crochet sticker on, you know, before I have to send them off. And then the other little thing that I've got is, as I said before, I have never trimmed up my mobility scooter. So what did I do but I've got myself a sticker. I don't want to put anything on, you see, that I can't take off because, as I said before, I rent a mobility scooter. And every year or so, is it 2 years, I think, I get a new one. So I don't want to, you know, permanently disfigure it because it's got to go on to somebody else, hasn't it? But I thought I'd get addicted to crochet. So I got that, and then I got my poster, which I absolutely love. I hope you can see it. I hope it's not dazzling. Christina had a heck of a job putting it in that frame. Much of it wasn't me, because I would have just given up. Right, in my last video, was it my last but one video, a lady asked me how I decided the sizes of my hats and how I made them. Well, I've mentioned before that I saw some little gadgets on Etsy that were hat shapes, and they were made out of sort of a vinyl of some description, plastic. Probably nice and hard plastic. And although I liked them, I really didn't want to spend, well, it would have been more than £15.50 because I would have had to pay the postage as well. So I thought, you know, some things I don't mind spending on, and other things I'm thinking, how many hats do I actually make a year? You know, would I get my money's worth out of paying £15.50 for a set of these? So anyway, I went online and I found this. It's a free thing, you can print it out, from the Crochet Crowd, and it's called Hat Sizings and Measurements, and it goes from a premature baby up to an adult large. Yeah, and it told me all the sizes. Sizes for the crown, sizes for the length, sizes for everything, which is fine. So I sent away and got some card. Admittedly, I could have done with thicker card, but I got some card. Got me, I think it's a, not protractor, compass. Got my compass out. There's a hole in the middle there, so I drew a circle, which was the size of a premature baby's head. So what you do is you crochet at the centre, you know, doing your increases as and when, until it measures that circle. And then of course you bend your little circle in half so it would come up to there. And then that's the length of what you crochet down. So I thought, so that's the actual size of the little hat that you would be making for a premature baby. So I thought, oh, that's good. I mean, I've got all the sizes, as you can see on the, you know, the lovely chart that I've got from Crochet Crowd. But I just did like the newborn one. You can see the circle better there. You know, I'm so cheap, aren't I? You know, a bit of card. They'd be better actually if you could do them in cardboard, or you had some sheets of plastic, you know, that you could use, vinyl or whatever you want to call it. So that's a newborn baby size, up to 3 months. So then I skipped up and I went to a teenager size or a large child. You can see, I think you can see where I've drawn that circle round. And then the next one I did was kind of my size, because I've not got a very big hat, which was a medium adult. You probably can't see the too much because it's on red. That's the medium adult, and then the final one is the gents, but it's a large man's hat. I made one with this and it did come out to me a little bit roomy, but maybe there are some gents out there with a bigger head, who knows. So I made that one. So if you're a bit handy, you can make your own of these, you know, bits of cardboard. Measurements here, because the measurements tell you what the head size is, yeah, the hat crown size. So if it says like 8 inches, you would set your compass to 4 inches and draw a complete circle, yeah. That means you get an 8-inch diameter circle. And then of course it says the hat length from 9 to 9.5. So you would go from the top of the crown, after you've done your circle here, which was like 4 inches, and you've gone all the way around, so that makes it 8 inches across. Then you would measure from the top down to the bottom, and then that's where you would cut it off. I'm quite proud of myself for that. Yes, I'm cheap. I don't care who knows it. I'm cheap. I don't mind spending money on things that I know I will use a lot. But when it's something, you know, that I don't make a tremendous amount of hats. I was going to make some hats for the homeless but didn't. So as Christina's making hats for the homeless, I gave her the wool that I was going to use for hats for the homeless. So that way I feel as though I've done my bit, yeah. So even though I haven't actually made any hats, I've partly contributed, so I feel better about that. Not much planned for the weekend, nothing really. If you're wondering where Gigi is, he's asleep in the front room. He's sulking because I put him down to come and make this video. I had to make myself a drink of coffee. I went for blood tests for my diabetes on Tuesday, and she managed to get them first time without actually, taking a big chunk out of my arm. And I've just got a call back saying I have to go in, so that means it's too high. Something's wrong. But do I worry? No. I'll worry when they tell me what it is, but I know that's what it's going to be. She said to me, oh my goodness, she said, your blood pressure's good today. I said, oh, do you mean that's normal? She went, no, it's just kind of lower for you, which is a good sign, but it's not normal, no, it's still high. But what she means is it's not like sky high like it normally is, yeah. But I do have a bit of a white coat syndrome, if I go anywhere medical, they take my blood pressure, it's usually up the top there. I know this because I had to go to hospital last time I had my spinal injection. I went in the morning, and if you remember, they had me like laying on a bed most of the day until it was time to go and have my injection done, which was about 6 o'clock in the evening. But I'd had to go in at 11 in the morning. And they kept taking my blood pressure, and all the time I was like lying on the bed and just pottering around, it was going down and down and down. So that's why I know I've got a bit of, when I go in the hospital, like, my blood pressure's going to go up. And it does, usually. And they're going. One of these days, maybe when I'm rich, I'll invest in my own blood pressure machine. Just for my own, and I could do one of those stabber things, for your diabetes. So I know if I'm up or down. Because I've no idea. It's the same symptoms, apparently, whether you're high or whether you're low. It's the same symptoms. So when I'm thirsty and that, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, my blood pressure, my blood sugars must be high or something, it could be the opposite way around. But I am naughty. I'm very naughty. I don't adhere to a diet. Maybe I should, because I watch these programs saying it can affect your eyesight, and and I'm looking at things and I'm getting double vision because I wear glasses but for reading. And I'm driving along on my scooter, I'm sort of going one eye, because everything's like blurring or doubling up, and I'm thinking, But I passed my test when they look behind your eye and look to see if you've got any damage. I passed that, so that's fine. So I don't think I've got any more news at all. I did speak to Sue. She's having a great time in Scotland, and her husband's, I keep calling him a husband, it's actually a partner. A partner's there, but he's gone up fishing with about 2 or 3 of his friends. So they have their breakfast together, and then he disappears doing this fishing malarkey. So she's left free then to just wander around, which she loves to do. She loves to explore different parts of Scotland that she's never been to before. So hopefully she's calling next week, and then she will enthrall you all with her tales of Scotland for those of you who've never been. Or people like me, who the minute I put my nose over the border to Scotland, it rains. But apparently Sue's having quite good weather, which is nice because it's not nice down here. We had the one good day. Was that yesterday? Oh, my days are merging into one, I don't know what day. Anyway, we had one good day. That's when I took the photographs. I managed to get 2 shawls blocked. But I was going to block the black one today, but of course it's raining. My house is a little bit on the cluttered side, so I've got nowhere actually to pin it, to put it anywhere to dry within the house. I can't lay it flat on the floor anywhere because of course Gigi would walk all over it. And not only would I be afraid of him getting little pins in his feet, I would also be afraid that he would leave you lots of little hairs all over. Oh, it's a gay day. You can't say that much anymore now, can you? I used to say that when I was a kid because, of course, there wasn't the connotations that there is with that word anymore. One of my friends, her middle name was Gay, because it was a girl's name. But now, people just don't, they don't say they're happy and gay anymore, because that just meant we were happy and having a good day. So I apologise to anybody if I've offended by saying that. I don't mean it in that way. I'm not homophobic at all. I always say, to me, it's like the Jehovah's Witnesses. They can believe in what they want, they can do whatever they want, but I don't want to join them. That's just my personal taste. Nothing against them, but I have my own religion, yeah? So it's the same way with, you know, being gay. I'm not gay, but I've got nothing against anybody who is gay. It's their lifestyle, it's their choice. Everybody's free to do what they want. And I'm just not born that way. I was born heterosexual, but it wouldn't have worried me, I suppose, if I'd have been born gay. No. Why have I got on that subject? Oh, I know, because I said happy and gay. My mind butterflies from one subject to another. If you don't keep up with it, I'm very sorry. But thoughts sort of spring in my head. I'm talking about one thing and then my mind springs to something else, and I've got no zipper, you know, on my mind and my mouth. It just comes out, you know. Start off saying one thing, I'm on one subject, and I flutterbide off to something else. It's nice, isn't it, to be brain dead? It's Friday the 13th. Hope nobody's superstitious. I'm not. But I suppose it's because nothing bad has ever happened to me on a Friday the 13th. That's probably why I'm not. I mean, I'm clumsy any day, so I can't blame any of that on Friday the 13th. You know, if I'm liable to fall over, it's not, oh, because it's Friday the 13th. It's just, oh, it's because Janet's being clumsy again, as usual, and tripping over her own eyelashes. I nearly fell over before. That was because I was tripping over the light. I put it in a really stupid place. I'm my own worst enemy. I put things in places and I think, I must try not to fall over that, because that's really not in a good place. And then, of course, what do I do but go whoop over it? I've put it there, so can't blame anybody else. Yes. So I should have gone to the post office today to post off my order of the lilacs cardigan. But as I said, Christina came and stayed till after lunch, and then it's been raining, so that kind of puts me off a bit. I've got a rain cape for my scooter, but it just seems like a big excursion when I have to get my scooter out, put myself in my little bubble rain cape, you know, and then I'm like fighting my way to speak to people when I get to the post office, and fighting to get my arms out to post anything. And then my rain cape's wet through, so I'm getting water running up my arms, and these are problems that you don't have if you live in a lovely climate. Oh dear, I swear I wouldn't have half as much arthritis and problems if I didn't live here. But having said that, I do love being in England. I love England's character, personality, countryside. I just wish it had a little less rain. But then it wouldn't be England's green and pleasant land, would it, if it was no rain? But it would be, you know, something else, wouldn't it? We can always say it's England's green and pleasant land. That comes from, I think, one of the hymns we used to sing every day at school. I went to a girls' grammar school. It wasn't a girls' grammar school when I first went, it was a co-ed. It was, and then after 2 years they decided to put, the school outgrew itself, so instead of, there was nowhere for it to expand because there was houses either side. So what they decided to do was build a new school. And we thought at first that they were going to divide it like, you know, years 1 and 2 or whatever they are called these days, in one school and then swap over to the other school, but no, they decided to divide it into girls and boys. Which, you know, It does mean that when you're segregated, I suppose, it means that the boys concentrate more on their work, because boys are notorious for getting distracted by the female sex, whereas girls don't really the same. You know, we just view them all as dirty, smelly things until we get to about 15. Well, me, I did. They were just things that wore trousers, you know, that told rude jokes and smelt, because they always do, boys, don't they? Always smelly. But, you know, I did fair to middling at school, I suppose. No Einstein, you know, but I wasn't a dunce either. I was like in the middle, fair to middling. Whereas my brother, of course, was brilliant. You can never follow a brilliant brother, especially to the same school. It's like, oh, you Colin Buckley's sister. Oh, you're not alike, are you? No, we don't look alike. No, I mean, you're not alike, like, academically speaking. No, we're not alike, because he's brilliant and I'm middling. And of course my mother had this yardstick of my brother's prowess, top of the class and up in the top of everything he did, whereas little old me was sort of like middling. So it was always like, are you sure you're trying hard enough? Because Colin didn't have all this trouble. I'm trying, I'm working hard. So when my son went to school, I was really not as encouraging of a mother as I think I should have been, really. Because he was middling. He did his best and he was middling. And I thought, well, I'm not going to make him feel inferior. You know, he's doing his best. And, you know, so I never pushed, prodded him, gave him extra tuition or anything like that. I mean, he's a happy. He'll never be Einstein either, you know. It's just one of them things, isn't it, you know. Either your kid's naturally bright or your kid's naturally not bright. I won't say he wasn't bright. He is very good with his hands. He's very good with all sorts of things like that. But academically speaking, no, he's a bit more like his mum. Middling. But as we say, there's nothing wrong with being middling. It's not held me back in any way because I'm not academic at all, you know. Not held me back. Sometimes, you know, you do wish and wonder if I'd have took more notice at school or if I'd have concentrated more. But I just really knew, I think, deep down that I just really didn't have it in me. And it would have been a struggle. Which is why I vetoed and, well, I changed my mind about going to university for another reason, because I'd had my appendix out and I missed the start date, blah, blah. But I think I would have struggled at university, I honestly do. Because the standards back then, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this now, but the standards back then were high. To get into university, you had to have high standards, and there were fewer places. Probably because everything was done on a grant system back then. You know, we didn't have to have student loans, we didn't have anything. So probably the government were a little bit more choosy who they chose to spend their money on. And if they thought you weren't going to make it or make the grade, then, you know, you didn't get accepted into uni. So I did get accepted into uni. Would me. But I didn't go. I often wonder what my life would have been like if I'd have gone to uni, but I wasn't that type of person. I've never been wanderlust. I've never wanted to go places on my own. You know, some people want to pack a backpack, don't they, and set off to explore India or backpack around Australia, you know. I've never been that kind of person. I've always been a homebody. So I think the thought of going off to university, because it would have been in Liverpool, which isn't that far, but it would have been just too far to commute, you know, each day to go into uni. Whereas my brother was lucky enough to get into Manchester University, which at the time had a really, really high standard. So I wouldn't have got into there with the grades I had. And not only that, they didn't do the subject that I was taking, which was going going to be occupational therapy. And you know, if you don't know what that is, that's using craft work and things to make people do like physiotherapy when they don't realise that they're doing it. But bear in mind, back in the day when I was young, people stayed in hospital a lot longer. So if they'd had a stroke or if they'd had something like that and they got limited mobility, the occupational therapist would try to find a skill that they were interested in and that they could learn that would get them to use the hand that had been affected, you know, something like that. So I was quite interested in all that sort of thing because one of my uncles had been an occupational therapist when I was very young. And he worked in a TB sanatorium in Abergele because TB was rife back then, back in the 40s and the early 50s. But then, of course, the sanitarium closed down because, thankfully, they'd more or less eradicated TB until it started coming back again recently. But that's from people who are coming from other countries that don't have the same healthcare that we have, that unfortunately they're bringing TB in. Which does kind of annoy me in some respects. You have to be careful what you say because you're going to be accused of racism, which isn't true in my case. I just wish that there was a better health screening for anybody that was going to be coming to live in this country. Anybody, not saying from certain countries. Anybody. Bringing in, you know, diseases that we've eradicated. You know, we got rid of rickets years ago. Rickets is where your legs bend, bow, because you've not had a good enough diet. There was no rickets. Rickets was when I was a child. There was a few children with rickets because of the war, rationing and things like that. But that got sorted out, and like I said, TB got sorted out. The cows got tested. They were TB tested herds so that they weren't passing any tuberculosis on to anybody else. And you know, how did I get onto that subject? I have no idea. This is what I mean. Butterfly brain. Ramble, ramble, ramble. Not talking about crochet at all, am I? Well, I'm going to start some other crochet. I've got a couple of orders to do, but I haven't got the yarn for one of them. Would you believe all the yarn I've got in the stash room that I haven't got the colours that they want? So that's why I rang Sue, because I didn't know whether she wanted to put anything on my order, because we do that a lot. We share orders so that we can get free postage, because we don't always want to order enough, either one of us, to get to the £25, the £30, whatever it is, for free postage. So that is why I rang Sue. So this is probably why I've gone off tangent. When Christina came today, she brought some more wadding so that we can pad up. I still haven't decided if she's Rebel or if she's Portly Portia. But I used her yesterday to take photographs of one of my cardigans that I'd done in a larger size. And she doesn't have enough hips, so we need to give her more hips. Her bust line isn't too bad, but hips, not big enough. She has to be more voluptuous. But I've watched some really hilarious YouTube videos on how to make these duct tape models of yourself. You know, they've been hilarious. And also other people who've been padding up, you know, their mannequins, because mannequins just don't seem to come in big enough sizes. And we were just talking about this before with Christina, and she was saying that she was talking to a lady who teaches sewing, and she was saying that a lot of the sewing patterns only come in like a B cup. They don't. You might get them bigger, but the actual boobage is only like a B cup, which is ridiculous when you think how many bigger young girls, bigger people that there are who are not fat, but they've still got big boobs. You know, how do they manage? They must have to. If you're not good at pattern cutting, which I am not, you know, how do you manage? How do you do that? Well, we've covered a variety of subjects today, haven't we? I'm going shopping tomorrow with my niece. Nothing exciting, just food shopping. And then after that, the weekend is just trying to do the rest of the house. Thank you, Christina, for starting me off, but I need to do the rest of it now. She was a big help. Once somebody's set off doing something for me, I get more of an impetus to actually finish something off. I'm bad at starting, you know. Of course, with my back being, I'm not going to whinge and whine. I'm not having that kind of video at all. We've all heard of them. We were the no, not doing that. But I will just slip in the fact that my back is hurting. So that's why I haven't done any hoovering or any ironing. But next month is another month, isn't it? And I could get my injection and then I could be like a little spring chicken again. And I'll let you know how I go on with me. I know it's going to be my diabetes blood tests are going to be up the wall. Because I do sneak sweeties every now and again, and I do sneak a bit of chocolate every now and again. I find the whole diabetes diet too restrictive for me. Plus I think I eat things with hidden sugars in. And yes, I know that mango and passion fruit coolers have got lots of sugar in them, but I only have maybe 1 or 2 a week. I know it's wrong, but I just love them so much. Anyway, having said that, I keep looking outside. The reason I keep looking over there is because I can see the dark clouds approaching. Rain. Again. So I'm going to say goodbye to you. I'm going to hope you have a lovely weekend. And I'm going to hope that your weather, wherever you are, is not as dull, dismal and horrible as it is in Manchester. So bye all, and have a great weekend. Now I've got to get up and turn the camera off, which should be fun. So bye for now.